Our goal is to help you solve the problems that you have that are preventing you from loving your relationship with your dog. And as we solve the little ones, we want you to say, that's kind of cool. Like, what else is there? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dog Sense. I'm your host, Kathy Santo, and I am here with all of my trainers from the school. Not all of them, that's a lie. I'm here with my class trainers, private lesson trainers from the school, and you know them because they've done episodes before. We have Lauren and Stacy and Nikki, and of course, joined by my Colorado trainer, Sarah, all the way in her freezing cold state. When are you moving back?
Well, that's the thing. It's beautiful. Like, so yeah, sure, it's 40 degrees out, but it's sunny. It's like almost warm. Like I'm in a t-shirt right now, but like there's snow on the ground. It's like 40 degrees. It's wonderful.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. All right, guys. So today we're doing a really awesome episode. So we're answering questions that we had listeners and students submit to us. So we can answer directly, like kind of exactly what you guys want us to cover. So getting right into it. One of the questions that came through. So Brooklyn is 21 months and her owner asked, on walks, Brooklyn will bark and pull at some dogs and people, and then is perfectly fine with others. So her question is, how can she handle when she does bark and pull towards the dogs? And then also, what should she do when she's perfectly fine with others?
So first thing is to make sure that Brooklyn's wearing her special collar that we got her on in her private lesson. Second piece of it is that part of that question also indicates to me that we allow her to go up to the other dogs, whether she's barking or she's not. So it's important that we are being proactive when we are bringing her out for the walk and knowing some body language too, that when she does see another dog or she does see another person, let's make sure that she's getting something valuable from you, whether that's a special tug toy, a little bit of roast beef. You will have to play a little bit with the distance of how far you are from the dog and the value of what you have. We got to do a little bit of counter conditioning. When she actually is to bark, my best bet is just to move. If you're walking at Fluffy and their owner, she starts barking, I would turn into her and go the complete opposite direction, just so she doesn't have the visual and we're not indirectly rewarding her by getting closer to the dog. Or what most likely happens, she barks and what does the other dog do? And the person, they keep going. So she learns, ha ha ha, I am Brooklyn, hear me roar.
I also feel like there has to be an engagement issue, right? Like sometimes people go on a walk and it's like they hang up the phone on their dog after they get them out the door. They're like, you have your little environment fun and I'm going to have my little fun and maybe I'll be texting. And then at some point we'll connect back together. And usually they connect back together when the dog blows up, right? So if they kept that engagement going, people are like, well, what's engagement? And then some people are like, I don't know, we want engagement with people. Like, I don't want to hang out with my dog now. Yeah, you do. You need to have cookies and work on recalls and sit stays, and maybe you bring a yoga mat. Like you need to do things. And besides the fact that your walk should be where your dog is getting their training, right? Like that's the purpose of a walk to me. I'm going to spend that time with my dog. I'm going to throw some training in. It just, man, it's work, isn't it?
It is work.
And it is. And you get sloppy with it, you get tired with it, but all the excuses that are valid in the world, the minute the dog has the opportunity to do this again, then you set yourself back. So the other option for this could be, don't walk there.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Put the dog in the car, go somewhere else, drive to a parking lot.
I know, well, two things. One, you want to also make sure that Brooklyn herself or any other dog who is reacting on the street, make sure that they don't have any access to windows or basically just having the option to bark out the windows, people going by, staring.
Or in the yard, right?
Or in the
yard.
Also, I know specifically that is more of a condo development. So she can definitely be picking up on at 17 Smith Street. That's where Fluffy lives. And that's where I bark at him. And guess what? We keep walking. Nothing ever happens.
Change the route.
Field trips.
To the point where you put the dog in the car and you're like, I have 30 minutes to walk you and I'm going to spend 5 minutes driving to the place and 5 minutes driving home. So it's only a 20-minute walk. But you know what? I'm going to get my training in. I'm going to not continue rehearsing the behavior that is just getting worse because you are doing it.
Yeah. Change the behavior, change the pattern.
Yep. All right. So we had a few next questions. We're going to stick to the category of housebreaking. So we had a few questions come through. The first one was from Tucker, who is 17 months. Tucker's owner asked, so Tucker was rescued at 14 months and we have no idea of his previous situation. He does not tell us when he needs to go out, so I wouldn't call him totally house trained. He has no issues at night and is good most of the day, but at least twice a week we are cleaning up after him. At no time does he tell us he wants or needs to go out. What are your suggestions on this?
Well, funny, we were talking about how to get dogs to signal to go out. I'll come back to that in a quick second. But remember that the only way to really house train a dog is to not let them have accidents in the house. So we need to bring him out more. We need to restrict freedom, maybe keep him in a smaller room so that he might get frustrated enough that he doesn't want to go potty in the small area that will let you know he has to go out. Bigger than a crate is an exercise pen. Bigger than an exercise pen is a gated-in kitchen. Bringing them out more for sure. And Kathy's favorite tip, chicken rock, right? Yeah. Lots of major food immediately as soon as he goes to the bathroom. Actually, the chicken rock. Go ahead, Kathy. Talk about your chicken rock.
All right. If I must.
If you must.
So what I did with all my puppies, I don't know. I know why. So we decide of an area. I have an X pen outside and I put some unusual material on it and I use wood pellets, wood stove pellets, right? And because it's different than mulch, it's different than grass, I want them to say, oh, wood stove pellets equals go to the bathroom. And a couple of my breeders use that as well. So when my puppies get there, they're like, oh, I know what to do. So I carry the puppy out to the area. They're on a leash. I put them down in the pen. I clip it. I hold the leash. And lo and behold, at the back of the pen, what they're going to see is a flat rock, and it doesn't have to be a rock, but whatever, with a piece of chicken on it. And they are like, are you kidding me right now? And they eat the chicken. And then they say, well, since I'm here, I might as well go to the bathroom. So, and if somebody says my dog is allergic to chicken, please, you can figure this out. Yeah. Do something your dog can have, right?
Turkey rock, salmon rock,
hydrolyzed protein rock. I don't care. Okay. So what you create then is this puppy that you're holding and he's like, oh, I want to get to the rock. I want to get to the rock. And so I start to put them down a little bit sooner. And then what you basically get is a dog who drives right out to that area to get to that chicken rock. Additionally, the wood stove pellets become a trigger for the dog. The dog is like, oh, this should be the potty area. So I put some in a Ziploc bag. They are clean, in case you're wondering. And then if I go somewhere else, like I went to Brooklyn with Ray when she was just a puppy. And she'd never been on a wee-wee pad. And I had wood stove pellets. She wouldn't go on the streets of Brooklyn. She was like, this is scary. So I went into the building I was going into and I put the pad down with pellets on it. And she's like, oh, this must be the place. And she went to the bathroom. So it does two things. One, it creates drive to get to where you want the dog to go. But also you have that unique surface that the dog then says, oh, this is where I should go. And before anybody asks, no, she won't only go on wood stove pellets, but it is a really great sheet for the beginning.
I think another thing that we can touch on too is let's talk through like what are some of like the top signals that puppies or dogs are giving you that they have to potty that a lot of people don't understand are cues that they have to go. So one of my biggest ones that a lot of people don't realize is if you're interacting with your puppy or your dog, right? This dog is 17 months. So let's say your dog is hanging out with you and then all of a sudden for seemingly no reason, they get up and they try to go into another room. A lot of times that's a cue that they're trying to go somewhere else to potty. So that's one that a lot of people don't know is a potty signal. What are some other ones that you guys know of where it's not a really obvious potty signal, but once you see that, you're like, that puppy might have to go.
My puppy he'll just be playing like you had said and interact, and then he'll like get a scent and he'll like put his nose to the ground. I'm like,
sniffing, yeah.
Yep. So I instantly go and take him out. And yeah, that's hard because puppies do like to sniff and they do get scents, but 9 times out of 10, as soon as his nose hits the ground and he starts like going around, I'm like, oh yeah, you're out.
And how about super mouthy?
Yeah.
Or they stop eating. You're doing a training session and they're like, I'm loving this. And all of a sudden, like, nope, I got to go over here. And you're like, nope, you got to go outside.
Yeah. Or you give them a command and they don't do it.
Right? One other tip and trick that I think is also helpful, especially because this dog's just a little bit older. I always tell people, a lot of people let the dog out the back glass door. And then they're like, okay, you're going to go do your business. I have to go take care of something in here. And you don't see that the dog actually does or does not go. Make sure to bring them out on leave, reward them where they go. And if they do not go to the bathroom, like Stacey said, don't let them be penned off in a big area because they will have the accident inside.
Yeah.
My puppies don't free potty, meaning off a leash, until they're 7 months old. That's brutal, man. But you know what? If my dog learns from day one that they have to be 50 feet away from me to go to the bathroom when I'm on a 6-foot leash and they're like, hey, give me some room. I'm like, hey, it's a highway. Like I can't. So teaching your puppy to go to the bathroom on leash is a skill. I know it's cold or whatever it is where you are, but you have to do it. And you have to have good management. Like all of these signs require your eyeballs to be on the dog and not Instagram or your kids, right? And so if you don't have that level of ability to focus, they should be created in somewhere where they cannot have an accident.
And that actually brings us to our next question really well, Lauren. You might be able to answer this next question that came through. So like Nikki had said, right, if you bring the dog out and they don't go to the bathroom, what do you do next, right? So we usually tell owners to put them into a crate, wait 10 minutes and come back out. But so this is the next question that came through. The dog's name is Appa. He's 10 months old, and the owner had asked the crate 10-10 rule. Put him in 10, carry him outside for potty. If he doesn't potty in 10 minutes, put him in the crate, carry him back out for 10, blah, blah, to teach him not to use the house to the bathroom. They were asking, is that after every meal or after every hour? So kind of explain how we use that and when in potty training.
So that rule is like if you take your dog out to go to the bathroom and you know they have to go, right? Like, you know they have to pee, you know they have to poop, they haven't gone in a little bit, and you take them out and they don't go, right? Then I am going to bring them back in, put them in the crate, leave them there for 5 or 10 minutes, take them back out and go back outside again. I'm not going to allow my dog to have freedom in the house unless they go to the bathroom, right? Like now it's cold. It snowed yesterday or today. So your dog may not want to go out, or maybe they're having too much fun outside and they don't go. I'm not going to bring them back inside because then they're going to remember, oh, I got to go to the bathroom, and then go right on your floor. So I instantly put them in the crate, and it may take a couple of tries before the dog figures it out. But I will never allow my dog to have freedom in the house unless they are empty or unless they have just gone to the bathroom outside.
And I also want to say, if he does go to the bathroom outside, you're not like, oh, Bader's empty. Now I can just let him loose in the house, not pay attention. Because there could be a second round soon. He could have to go again. I mean, that's what puppies are like. I mean, you cannot predict it. So just because your dog emptied when he was outside doesn't mean he's empty.
Fully empty. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And keep in mind too, get that reward in within 1 to 3 seconds of them going to the bathroom. Don't do, oh, good boy, you went potty, and then go all the way inside and get the treat. You need to bring the chicken, roast beef, or stew meat outside with you so you can praise and reward right there.
Absolutely.
Unless, and they probably don't, unless they had a marker word.
There you go.
And they could mark it, and then they could go inside and feed. But that kind of latency is only working if you have a marker word, and we should do an episode on marker words.
Write that down, Sarah. Get
I love
it.
marker words. Woo.
All right, before we go on the marker words, one more question about potty training. Okay, and this one's important because I'll answer this one. So basically, Elizabeth and Mary are the dog's name. They're 5 months old. So she said both dogs are crated. They were good going on their potty training. Nothing has changed except they started peeing in their crate. Please help. So if we hear this from a client where they say, or a student, everything's going well, and all of a sudden the dog is starting to have accidents, we have to rule out medical, right? So we have to check and say, hey, listen, does the dog have a UTI or something like that going on that could be causing them to have these accidents that seem out of the blue? Once we've ruled out medical, you've taken them to the vet, we know that they don't have a UTI or anything like that, then we can get into managing how much water they're having, right? Make sure they're not tanking on a full bowl of water, going out to pee once, and then you leave for 3 hours and their bellies are still full, right? That's another thing that you could do with Tucker, that older dog too, is tighten up on the management on how much water and food is going in, and then also tracking when is it coming out, all that good stuff. That's some of the things you can do with adult dogs who may be seeming like they're having accidents.
And also we know Mary and Elizabeth.
They're adorable.
They are adorable.
They're cute.
Do you know how big their crate is?
I was just going to say, I bet it's too big.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So they're teeny, 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 tiny.
Okay.
They're adorable.
They are adorable.
But I think it could be a crate size issue, and the dog is going like, oh, I can pee back here and still like have a nice living space here. Back to the dog really quickly who doesn't give signs. I've tethered dogs to me for issues like that in the housebreaking. And then you feel them pull away from you, and that's a sign. And sometimes they need to be tethered because the owner isn't as aware of the signs because they're super subtle. And sometimes it's just for the dog to say, hey, I'm moving away, and I got to go. And it makes them give a more clear sign. And I've done that with a lot of students. I've just said, tether your dog to your body. I mean, you could also crate them too. But when they're out with you, tethering is great because you feel like, ooh, that pull. And you're like, why are you pulling? Oh, you got to go. So it helps both species.
When in doubt, take them out.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good one.
I always say that. When in doubt, take them out.
Okay.
All right, let's try to get through a few more here. So the dogs, and so it's Malcolm and Willow. The dogs are 3 and 2. The owner asked, we worked really hard on not letting them on the couch. Then when we weaned them to go on the couch only when invited, they forgot everything and they now go back on the couch whenever they want. How do we teach them to only go on the couch when invited?
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'm going to let Lauren.
Oh boy.
Lauren's going to handle this.
Okay, so we
Hi,
had
Colleen.
well, I wasn't going to say her name. So we had gone over a point in time where the dogs were not allowed on the couch. Just there was a lot going on, and we just said, okay, let's eliminate the couch altogether. And I guess now we're starting to incorporate the couch back in. But if they're going back to their old ways, they don't get the couch. I'm not going to give them that freedom. If they're taking advantage of that, then they don't get that couch anymore. And is that forever? No. But as of right now, if you're allowing them up and then they're taking advantage of it,
Couch diet.
no more couch.
Couch diet.
Yeah,
I like
sometimes
that.
that's hard to do. Like you might be okay with that plan, but maybe there's other people in your house who are not.
Oh, the
You know?
Unraveler episode. Do you have
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
You do have a saboteurs episode.
But I get it. They're little, they're cute. You want to like snuggle with them on the couch. I totally get it. But like I said, I'm not going to continue a behavior that I don't like and allow them to have that behavior.
Yeah. So on that same track, we can answer another question too. So the dog's name is Dallas. He's a year old, and the owner had asked, so how can I stop him from jumping on the sofa? So let's say there's a family where the dog is it's not on the couch, it's not on the couch, and they want to stop the behavior. What are your best tips for that?
Is that my same Dallas?
I would say
I don't know.
management. Dog's wearing a leash.
Yeah.
You are paying attention, and you don't let the dog get into those situations. And that the easiest way to stop it is to not allow it to happen.
Different Dallas.
So
Yeah. And if you're sitting on the couch, right? Like if that's part of it too, like I'm sitting on the couch and the dog wants to jump up on the couch with me, they're on leash, they're tethered, or I'm stepping on the leash and I give them something good to chew on the floor, right? A bone, a bully stick, a stuffed Kong, whatever.
Yeah.
So that way I'm saying down there is way more valuable than me being up here. But also if I'm up here, you have to be there and you get good things while you're down
put the
there.
dog on a place if you have a place.
Or yeah,
Say,
that's a good one. Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
It
might be
depends on
a
the
good
age.
time to work on place. And listen, when you sit down to watch TV, you don't want to argue with the dog about staying there or going on place or staying there or going on place. So you probably need to focus your training sessions on what your plan is. If you're one of those people that feels guilty putting them in the crate when you're watching TV, all right, I get it. Then you got to put in the work, man. You got to take a training session, sit on the couch, put them on place. Every time they get off, put them back. Every time they get off, put them back.
Mm-hmm.
They stay there for 5 or 10 seconds. Stew meat. There you go.
Yeah.
And I think this drives the question of what do I practice? Like there's so much to do. I'm overwhelmed. Well, look at your life. What do you want to make easier with your dog? What challenges are you being presented when you're trying to live your life? And if this is one of them, then that's what you can do. I'd also say make sure the dog, is getting exercise before you sit down. Like I'm not ever going to sit down on the couch and plan to be there for an hour or two and not have prior exercise trained with my dogs. Because I know I have high drive dogs. They need that.
Right.
All right. So here's another good question. I think Kathy's going to want this one. So Riley is almost 2 years old, and the owner asked, I take Riley on a daily walk for about 30 to 45 minutes. Should he be heeling for the entire walk? Is there a more structured way to walk?
When you're heeling with your dog, again, your walk with your dog is a training excursion. It is not you're texting and the dog is looking all over. It is also not the dog is glued to my side in formal position for half an hour, right? There's an on and off. And I think actually the benefit in that is, I can call my dog away from a really good sniff and call them into heel position and get them working again, right? It's that on and off switch. And what we say, and Lauren and I were talking about this today, the on and off switch really means your dog is like wild and you shut it off, right? Which is great. But I need a little dial in the middle for volume control. So maybe you're a little distracted and you can come into heel position. Also, there's a lot of different heeling you can do on your left side, on your right side, and you release them. Okay, go play. What I want to see though, is when you release the dog to be done and to liberty, to the environment, and have them go, I want to stay because this is more fun and more rewarding, right? So to me, that's the biggest win. But people get confused and they get on the walk. They're like, I don't know what to do. And they just do the same old thing, right? This is why I like index cards. You get a bunch of index cards. You put 3 different things on each of them, shuffle the deck before you go out. You pull one. That's the 3 things you're working on. And now you have a plan. So doesn't have to be in a heel position all the time. Does have to be in and out of working. Hopefully working to your dog means I love this. It's engagement with you. Too many people here working and they're like, oh my God, the poor dog.
Work. Yeah.
When does he get to do stuff?
Right.
Like, I think training is the best part of the day. And my dogs think so too.
I say, I think a big part of it is a walk is a relationship resume.
Yeah.
But it's also engagement, right? Like we had that other question where we were talking about engagement. The other dog might not be engaged with us. So when you do these things and you practice a couple of things on your walk, it keeps the dog engaged with you. Like Kathy said, oh, I don't want that. I want you. I'd rather be with you.
Right. And if the only time you practice getting your dog back to you is when he's locked on a squirrel or aggressing another dog, you're going to lose. But if you teach him these skills now, hey, you're licking a rock, come back to me. Hey, you're sniffing on the grass. Here's a cookie. You do that. And then you have this something to like lean into when you're in trouble. But if you don't do it and you only do it when there's trouble. And besides the fact that when you are saying, hey, you're with a squirrel, come back to me, the value there is kind of skewed, right? You have to build the value in the dog's mind prior to the squirrel or the dog, or else you'll lose every time.
Yeah. And really, when it comes down to it, everything comes down to behavior is just about patterning. If you want a pattern of engagement, of being able to respond when I ask you to, then you do have to practice that behavior pattern over and over in lower level distractions, middle level distractions. Like Kathy said, if you want to get a dog who will turn around and come back to you when they're looking at a squirrel, you better make sure they'll turn around and come back to you when they're looking at grass. Right.
And we know that we're like this. We're like this because we're dog trainers. We think about this all day long, whether we're training dogs or whether driving home. Like we love dog training. And so our goal is to help you solve the problems that you have that are preventing you from loving your relationship with your dog. And as we solve the little ones, we want you to say, that's kind of cool. Like, what else is there? Oh, we can do off leash this or off leash that, right? So we want to bring you along slowly. So when you feel overwhelmed and you're looking at your dog and your life and you're saying, this is just too much. Like, I didn't sign up for this. Get really granular. Pick one thing. And again, you have us. Like if you're a student at the New Jersey school, you have us in many ways, shapes, and sizes. We can call you. We can text you, pro pet, message us. Come to Ask the Trainer. We do this live every week where we answer your questions and you're on the Zoom, not just us. So these are the ways we're going to help you. Pick one thing, get good at it, make your walks, do the work for you with the training. And you're, 3 months from now, you're going to look back on it and say, oh my God, it was easier than I thought. I'm going to get another dog.
Oh boy. There you go. Multiple dog household.
That'll be another podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a long one. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to cut the questions on this one. So also everyone who did submit a question, if we didn't quite have time to get to you, a lot of these questions we do already have full length episodes on. So make sure you go to kathysantodogtraining.com, check the podcast page to see if we have already done an episode on this. Of course, you can always join us in the Ask the Trainers. You can always email us if you have questions. Yeah. And any of the upcoming events as well are on the website. Click upcoming events. You can check those out as well. All right, guys. So as always, we'd love it if you'd like, rate, subscribe, tell a friend, and share this episode for people who need to hear it. Anything that you heard in this episode, if you know a friend or a family member who might have a puppy or dog going through something similar, share this episode over there. And of course, these episodes are also always available on YouTube as well. Hopefully you guys will join us for the next time we do this Q&A session and we'll answer more of your guys' listener questions.
And thank you for submitting all your questions.
You.
They were all good.
Bye.
And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.